Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to my channel Science of Life with Dr. Mohammad Yusuf. Today I am going to discuss the physiology of lymphatic system. But before that, one ayah from Holy Quran. It is an ayah from Surah Tawbah, ayah number 23. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تتخذوا آباءكم وإخوانكم أولياء إن استحبوا الكفر على الإيمان ومن يتولهم منكم فأولئك هم الظالمون या अय्युहल्लज़ीना आमनू ऐ ईमान वालो ऐ मोमिनो ला तत्तखिदू मत बनाओ मत पकड़ो मत बनाओ आबा अकुम अपने आबा व अजदाद को व इख्वानकुम और अपने भाई बंदों को औलिया दोस्त आगे शर्त बनाई है कि ये शर्त हो तो फिर दोस्त न बनाओ तर्जमा क्या है कि ऐ ईमान वालो अपने आबा को अपने आबा व अजदाद को और अपने भाइयों को अपना दोस्त ना बनाओ इन अगर इन इस्तहब्बू अगर वो ज्यादा मोहब्बत करें मोहब्बत चाहें पसंद करें अल कुफ्र कुफ्र को अलल ईमान ईमान पर अगर तुम्हारे माँ बाप और भाई अगर ईमान के मुकाबले में कुफ्र को तरजीह दें और फिर उनको दोस्त न बनाओ दोस्त न बनाओ का क्या मतलब है ताल्लुकात तो रखो वर्किंग रिलेशनशिप से मना नहीं किया जा रहा दोस्त एतमाद वाली दोस्ती उन पे एतमाद न करो वो तुम्हारे दोस्त नहीं है तुम उनके ऊपर अपना मुकम्मल एतमाद नहीं कर सकते वमन यतवल्लव मिनकुम तुम में से जो उनसे मोहब्बत करेगा मोहब्बत रखेगा फौलाइका हुमुज़ ज़ालिमून तो वो पूरा गुनाहगार है तो मोमिन की सबसे बड़ी तरजीह जो है वो ईमान है ईमान से हटाने वाली कोई भी चीज हो उससे हमारा ताल्लुक नहीं होना वर्किंग रिलेशनशिप और बात है वर्किंग रिलेशनशिप तो काफरों से भी होते हैं यहूद और नसारा से भी वर्किंग रिलेशनशिप हुजूर ने तिजारत की है लेकिन दोस्ती एतमाद वाला रिश्ता दोस्त वो नहीं हो सकता तर्जमा देख लें एग्जैक्टली ऐ ईमान वालो अपने बापों को अपने भाइयों को दोस्त न बनाओ अगर वो कुफ्र को ईमान से ज्यादा अजीज रखें इनस्तहब्बू अगर वो ज्यादा मोहब्बत करे उसे अजीज रखें तुम में से जो भी उनसे मोहब्बत करेगा यानी काफरों से जो मोहब्बत करेगा तो वो पूरा गुनाहगार होगा अल्लाह पाक हमें इसकी समझ भी अता फरमाए और इस पे मुकम्मल अमल करने की तौफीक अता फरमाए So we are going to talk about the lymphatic system. Circulatory system में a part of that circulatory system is another system, lymphatic system. It is an accessory system for drainage from the interstitial compartment. Usually interstitial fluid is formed from the capillaries and most of it is absorbed into the capillaries. But we discussed the microcirculation in which we talked about those Starling forces. They are slightly in favor of more filtration than absorption. So some fluid is not absorbed by the capillaries. So that extra fluid has to be drained from the interstitium. So this is that accessory system which is responsible for the drainage from the interstitium. Fluid, I'm talking about the fluid, but some proteins, there is minimum filtration of the protein from the capillaries, only small amount of albumin is filtered, the smallest protein in our plasma proteins. And that also is filtered protein cannot be reabsorbed again into the capillaries. So protein, any protein matter or any big particle in the interstitium, if it is due to the destruction or damage to the cells, necrosis, apoptosis, or damaged cells, those debris of those cells or any other bigger proteins or particles, they cannot be taken back into the blood through capillaries. So this system is important for the drainage or removal of these things from the proteins, large particles, as I said, large particle from anywhere, and the extra fluid which is not absorbed into the blood capillary, जो मैं पहले बोल रहा था. So these things, their drainage, their removal from the interstitium, that requires this lymphatic system. So that is this is accessory system, very important. If this system was not there, protein would have been collected in the interstitium, large particles could not be removed from that, or extra fluid would accumulate and edema will occur, and that is not fit for life. Without this system, homeostasis fails within hours. This is so important. Within hours, homeostasis, this balance between the interstitium compartment and intravascular compartment, that fails. This we have talked about, this slide we have seen in the previous lecture when we were talking about the microcirculation. That is, the main force is moving the fluid out. They are capillary pressure 17.3 millimeter of mercury, negative interstitial fluid pressure of 3 millimeter of mercury. This is causing the filtration, favoring the filtration, and the interstitial colloid osmotic pressure, any protein filtered present in the interstitium, they will have the filtration favoring force, that is the 8 millimeter of mercury. So total of 28.3 millimeter of mercury is the total outward force in the capillary. This slide we have seen in the previous lecture. And the inward moving force, mean force throughout the capillaries, is the plasma colloid osmotic pressure of 28 millimeter of mercury. So this 28 millimeter of mercury, and there is a difference of 0.3 millimeter of mercury in equilibrium. And stalling force, equilibrium, this is not exactly balanced. It is more in the favor of 0.3 millimeter of mercury, in favor of more filtration. That's why more filtration occurs than absorption. So that is, we have seen this diagram, the ugly diagram is better one. That is, the net filtration pressure is positive at the arterial end of the capillaries. More fluid will be filtered than absorbed, and it is negative at the venous end of the capillaries. More fluid will be absorbed. This slide we have also discussed in previous lecture. So 24 liters of the fluid will be filtered, but because of this slight imbalance, absorption of the fluid throughout the entire length of the capillary it will be only 20.4 liters. So this 3.6 liters of the extra fluid will remain in the interstitium, that will be carried by this lymphatic system. All these lymphatics, they start from the capillaries. Lymphatic capillary, we are going to see the structure of that capillary. All these capillaries, they drain the fluid or the particles or the proteins, and they join together to form the bigger lymphatics. And most of these lymphatics, they are carried by very big duct, which is known as thoracic duct. This thoracic duct drains from the lower part of the body, both legs, and from the left arm se bhi, and from the left side of the head and neck, and the left side of the chest. Almost all the right arm reh gaya, right side of the thorax and abdomen reh gaya. So left side of the chest, opens this, so this drainage into the thoracic duct. All the lymphatics collected, capillaries collected, they collect and they join the thoracic duct, and this thoracic duct opens into the venous system at the junction of the left इंटरनल जुगुलर वेन एंड लेफ्ट सबक्लेवियन वेन, वहां पे उस जंक्शन की जगह पर दिस विल ओपन इनटू द वेन venous system again. So that's how this is carried. Thoracic duct, बड़ी बड़ी duct यही है, दोनों लेग से, लेफ्ट आर्म से, लेफ्ट साइड ऑफ द हेड एंड नेक से, लेफ्ट साइड ऑफ द चेस्ट से इट इज ड्रेनेज. तो दूसरा भी एक चैनल है जिसको राइट लिम्फेटिक डक्ट कहते हैं, और वो थोड़ा एरिया ड्रेन फ्रॉम द राइट आर्म एंड द राइट साइड ऑफ द हेड एंड नेक एंड राइट साइड द साइड. ब्लड की कलेक्शन नहीं है वहां पे. सो राइट साइड ऑफ द चेस्ट, राइट साइड ऑफ द हेड एंड नेक एंड राइट आर्म, यहां से ड्रेन करती है. दिस ये राइट साइड वाली है एंड दिस ओपन्स इनटू द वीनस सिस्टम एट द जंक्शन ऑफ द राइट इंटरनल जुगुलर वेन एंड राइट सबक्लेवियन वेन. ये वहां पे ओपन करती है. डायग्राम आगे आ गई है. सो दिस इज द लेग से ले जाने वाली, दिस इज thoracic duct एंड इट इज ओपनिंग इनटू द जंक्शन बिटवीन, ये यहाँ पे ओपन कर रही है. और ये तो दूसरी thoracic duct जो है, राइट thoracic duct is opening on the right side. So for whole of the body, subclavian vein लिखा हुआ है, you can see this is subclavian vein and it is opening into that. So these two big lymphatic channels, thoracic duct and the right lymphatic channel, they open into the venous system and they carry this extra fluid of the 3.6 liter fluid from whole of the body, plus protein, plus bigger particles, cell debris or anything bigger which cannot be taken into which cannot be absorbed into the general capillaries or systemic capillaries. Now we are coming to that capillary, what is from where the lymphatic system starts. And we had seen this capillary when we were talking about the stalling forces. वहाँ पे जब हम देख रहे थे capillary, मैंने आपको कहा था mind it, this is the lymphatic capillary. So this lymphatic capillary is formed of the, again like systemic capillaries, by the endothelial cells. Endothelial cells ही बनती है. So endothelial single layer. These endothelial cells are, these are blind tube present in the interstitium. Blood capillaries की नहीं कि arteries branch and rebranch into arteriole, then the capillary they join they rejoin to form the venules, then this is a continuous circuit. Lymphatics are not like that. These are blind tubes present throughout the interstitium. सारी इंटरस्टिशियम में ये सिर्फ ट्यूब्स पड़ी हुई है which are only draining in one direction into the veins. ये वन पे. So these are blind tubes present, blind capillary. एक कैपिलरी बंद पड़ी, आगे जा रही नहीं रहती, उसका एक एंड बंद है. So they are attached to the filaments, anchoring filaments to the surrounding connective tissue. ये इंटरस्टिशियम में जो कनेक्टिव टिश्यू है, कुछ कोलेजन फाइबर्स हैं, उनके साथ अटैच्ड हैं. There are filaments which are attaching these endothelial cells to that connective tissue. They are known as the anchoring filaments. The edges of these endothelial cells, they overlap. This is one endothelial cell, this is another endothelial cell, there is overlapping between. So this cell and this cell edges are overlapping. This overlapping mechanism is such that this can allow this entry of anything into, this is the capillary space. ये दो cells हैं on upper side पे. So they are overlapping. This can move in and this is attached to the surrounding. Both cells are attached to the surrounding connective tissue. So this edge can act as well. This can close it and this can open. Opening is towards interior side. Entry of the proteins, entry of the bigger particles, entry of the fluid is possible, but backflow is not possible because if the pressure inside increases, this is closed. So there is the edges of the cells overlap the adjacent cells as free flap inward, जैसे मैंने कहा inward flap, and they arrange as minute valves opening into the interior of the capillaries. They open into the interior of the capillary. This is the interior of the capillary. ये अंदर की तरफ open करते हैं, बाहर की तरफ open नहीं. बाहर जब जाते हैं, they are in contact with the other cells and this valve is closed. So the arrange as minute valves opening into the interior of the capillaries. So fluid and the particles can push open the valve. Yeah, this can push open the valve. They can enter, but they can't leave it. Push open the valves into the capillary. That's all. Now, and once entered, cannot leave back. जो भी चीज इसके अंदर दाखिल होगी, they cannot leave back. Big particles can enter, but they cannot leave back because they say बाहर आने के लिए it will close. और डायग्राम देख ले. This is a blind tube. ये बंद हो गई. This is capillary. ये तो cells हैं, बाकी body के cells हैं. और ये these are the anchoring filaments which are holding these endothelial cells of the lymphatic capillary. ये अंदर वाले जो cells हैं, these are the endothelial cells. ये तो बाकी बॉडी के सेल्स हैं, जो मसल हैं या लिवर सेल्स हैं या ब्रेन सेल्स हैं, हर जगह पे lymphatic are there. So these lymphatic channels, they are formed of these, and so these are attached to the surrounding connective tissue by the anchoring filament. These are the anchoring filaments, and the arrangement of this is such that, as I said, जैसे मैंने कहा, this is overlapping, and this can open. This can allow the entry of the fluid, but backflow is not possible at all these sites. ये भी खुल सकता है, अंदर आ सकता है, but बाहर allow नहीं करता. That is the lymphatic capillaries. So at the very beginning of the capillaries, there are valvular arrangement of these endothelial cells. They allow the entry into these blind tubes, into the blind capillaries, and they don't allow the back flow. So they will be allowing this into onward to the bigger lymphatics, to the thoracic duct, to the right thoracic lymphatic duct. Valvular arrangement in the bigger lymphatics is all, जैसे veins में valvular arrangement है. In lymphatic capillaries में हमने देख लिया valvular arrangement, and the continue in the bigger lymphatic vessel. Bigger lymphatic vessel में भी ये valves हैं. They allow unidirectional, जैसे vein में हमने देखा unidirectional flow, and backflow is not possible. They close. So they continue. These valvular arrangement continues in the bigger lymphatic channels as well. Every segment of the channel acts as pump. ये एक segment हो गया. So if it is valve, this if there is some contraction, some external force or contraction by the cells themselves, उनके अंदर भी contractile elements are there. हम देखेंगे आगे. If they contract, they will push the blood to unidirectional. Back नहीं जा सकता because of the valvular arrangement. So each segment of this lymphatic channel acts as one pump. अगला pump. They can contract and they can push the fluid in one direction. So every segment of the channel acts as pump. So almost the same composition. No, say. तो ये lymphatic channel को हमने समझ लिया कि valvular arrangement of the endothelial cells से शुरू हुआ है, and this valvular arrangement continues in the bigger lymphatics as well. वहाँ पे और मसल भी शामिल हो जाते हैं, and they बड़ी vessel अगर channel बन गया उनमें भी contractile filaments शामिल हो जाते हैं, but when they contract or if they are compressed, दोनों बातें हो सकती हैं. The contractile filament can contract and can cause the push the fluid toward the vein, toward one side, toward the veins, towards subclavian vein जहाँ पे उन्होंने open करना है, into the thoracic duct, and plus the external compression because of the contraction of the muscles, because of the sitting, standing, and compression like that. Anything can compress these, and unidirectional flow toward the bigger lymphatics will be there by all these external forces. So every segment of the channel acts as pump. अब इस pump की how much force, how much pressure can be generated by this pump? This is again very powerful pump. आगे हम देखेंगे कितना pressure create कर सकते हैं. 80 to 90 millimeter of mercury can be pressure. आगे हम देखेंगे आगे. Lymph, what is lymph? It is the interstitial fluid. जो lymphatics के जरिए से interstitial fluid carry होता है, that is lymph. So composition is almost similar to interstitial fluid. So almost the same composition as the interstitial fluid. And most tissues protein concentration interstitial fluid की protein concentration differs in different tissues. क्यों? Capillaries की permeability differs. Liver capillaries or liver sinusoids are even permeable to bigger proteins as well. And the capillaries in the muscle, they are not permeable to, and brain capillaries are very tight. So generally most tissues protein concentration generally is 2 gram per deciliter, जिनका वो 8 हमने ऑनकोटिक उसका ऑस्मोटिक प्रेशर हमने पिछली स्लाइड में देखा. इंटस्ट्रियल फ्लूइड में प्रोटीन कंटेंट्स आर 2 ग्राम पर डेसिलीटर और ब्लड में कितने हैं 7-8 ग्राम पर डेसिलीटर. लिम्फ फ्रॉम द लिवर, वहां पे प्रोटीन ज्यादा है. लिम्फ फ्रॉम द लिवर दैट मे कंटेन 6 ग्राम पर डेसिलीटर बिकॉज द लिवर systemic capillaries or liver sinusoids are very permeable. Even big protein from synthesized in the liver, they can enter into this lymphatic channel, into the lymph, and they can be carried by the lymphatic channel to the blood. So the 6 gram per deciliter is the lymph coming from protein level, lymph coming from the liver. And lymph coming from the intestine, protein contents are 4 grams. उसमें भी proteins are being absorbed after digestion, absorption, वहाँ पे भी protein का content ज़्यादा हो सकते हैं. So there may be protein level in the lymph coming from the intestine is 4 gram per deciliter. ओवरऑल के एवरेज प्रोटीन कंटेंट्स इन दी थोरेसिक डक्ट, ये सारे मिलकर जब थोरेसिक डक्ट में जाते हैं, दी लिम्फ प्रेजेंट इन दी थोरेसिक डक्ट हैज गॉट दी प्रोटीन कंसंट्रेशन ऑफ अबाउट 3 to 5. बाकी सारी बॉडी में कम है, इन दो जगहों पे जरा ज्यादा है. इन सब का मिक्स होके दी थोरेसिक डक्ट में द लिम्फ contains proteins 3, 4 or 5 grams per deciliter of the lymph. तो ये कंपोजिशन है. Many digested nutrients, especially fats from the GIT, also pass into the circulation through the lymph. अगर आपने GIT पढ़ी हुई है या कहीं आइडिया होगा आपको, that is there the lymphatic system from the GIT is very important for the absorption of the fats. फैट की एब्जॉर्प्शन मोस्टली जा सकती है कि कैपिलरीज में, हेपेटिक पोर्टल वेसल में भी जा सकती है, बट फैट इज मोस्टली टेकन बाय दिस लिम्फेटिक सिस्टम. सो लिम्फ contains this fat absorbed from the GIT. Large particles and bacteria can only be drained by the lymph. ये पहले बात कर चुके हैं. लार्ज पार्टिकल या बैक्टीरिया, वो भी लार्ज पार्टिकल ही हो गए. बैक्टीरिया लार्ज पार्टिकल, डेब्रीज ऑफ द सेल्स या कोई डिजेनरेटेड पार्ट ऑफ द सेल्स, ये सारे दे कैन बी ड्रेन्ड इनटू द ब्लड ओनली बाय लिम्फेटिक्स. ये लिम्फेटिक्स के जरिए से जा सकता है. Many digested nutrients, especially fats from the GIT, also pass into the circulation through lymph. ये बात हो चुकी, दोबारा आ गई है. Lymph from the GIT, fat contents, हाँ fat contents की बात करें, GIT से आने वाली lymph has got the fat contents of 1 to 2%. अच्छी खासी फैट है उसमें, 1 to 2%. And the large particles bacteria can only be drained by the lymph. ये बात दोबारा आ गई. Rate of lymph flow कितना होना चाहिए? उतना ही होना चाहिए जितना फालतू रह गया था. उधर जो एक्स्ट्रा रह गया था 3.6 लीटर तो होना चाहिए ना, 3.6 लीटर. तो थोरेसिक डक्ट में ड्रेनेज इज अबाउट 100 ml पर आवर. 1 घंटे में 100 ml ऑफ दी लिम्फ इज ड्रेन्ड. इसको लिम्फ कहेंगे, इंटरस्टिशियल फ्लूइड है, इसको लिम्फेटिक्स में आ गया तो इसको लिम्फ कहते हैं. दिस 100 ml ऑफ लिम्फ इज ड्रेन्ड फ्रॉम द थोरेसिक डक्ट इनटू दिस. एंड दूसरे आबाद बाकी चैनल से अबाउट 20 ml, 120 ml हो गया. बाकी चैनल से all other channels including that the right thoracic duct, कुछ कहीं और पे भी शामिल होते होंगे कोई छोटे मोटे. So they total 120 ml. So total 120 ml per hour drainages. इसको 24 से मल्टीप्लाई कर ले, that will be about the same volume which is left in the interstitium in 24 hours. So 3 to 3.5 liters, वो 3.6 liters हो गया. So that is about 3 to 3.5 liters per day. ये वही वॉल्यूम है जो कल हमने डिस्कस किया, आज भी हमने स्लाइड देखी. That extra volume which cannot be absorbed into the blood because of the slight imbalance in the स्टॉलिंग फोर्सेस, मोर फिल्ट्रेशन फोर्सेस 0.3 मिलीमीटर ऑफ मर्क्यूरी उसका ज़्यादा फोर्स है. सो दिस इज द 3.5 liters per day. This is being taken back into the blood by the lymphatic vessels. Rate of flow is primarily determined by, किस पे डिटरमिन होना चाहिए? Interstitial fluid pressure, वो जितना होगा. Interstitial fluid pressure, if more fluid is being filtered, pressure will increase. That pressure will increase and that will cause more drainage, more fluid entering into the lymphatic. Simple as that. जितना ये lymphatic capillary जहाँ पे पड़ी हैं, that is interstitial fluid, उसमें pressure ज़्यादा होगा, more fluid will be entering, these valves will be opening, that by that extra pressure and the more fluid will be entering. So it depends upon the interstitial fluid pressure and the activity of the lymphatic pump. दूसरी बात क्या है, ये entry तो इस वजह से होगी, if the lymphatic pump is more active, a person is performing exercise जब कर रहा है तो all the lymphatics are being compressed by the exercising skeletal muscles, so that will cause the increased drainage of the fluid, so rate of flow will increase. If the interstitial fluid pressure ज़्यादा हो या activity of the pump ज़्यादा हो, और वो activity of pump मैंने exercising muscle भी बोल रहा, or if lymphatic vessel you are sitting standing, that is compression. This compression की वजह से भी that causes, so the lymphatic pump is activated. Factors affecting the rate of lymph flow. So interstitial fluid pressure कब ज़्यादा होगा? That will be factors affecting the interstitial fluid pressure or factors affecting the lymphatic pump. वही दोनों बातें होगी. Any factor which increases the interstitial fluid pressure, that should increase the rate of lymph flow. So will increase the rate of lymph flow. For example, capillary pressure. तो capillary pressure के factors हमने पढ़े हुए हैं. हमने we have discussed. That is heart failure मिसाल के तौर पर, right sided heart failure, right ventricular failure will cause back pressure in all the veins and capillary pressure will increase. This is the filtration force, more fluid will be formed, so IFP, that interstitial fluid pressure will increase, so increase capillary pressure. Decrease plasma colloid osmotic pressure. Plasma के अंदर प्रोटीन कम हो, which are the retention force, which are the absorbing force, which is the inward force. अगर प्रोटीन्स कम हो जाएंगे तो that will cause more leakage of the fluid. इसलिए हमने कहा था hypoproteinemia में edema होता है. So when there is a decreased amount of protein in the blood, so decreased plasma colloid osmotic pressure will cause more filtration of the fluid. That will also increase the interstitial fluid pressure. Increase interstitial fluid colloid osmotic pressure. If there are more protein in the interstitium, naturally there will be more filtration of the fluid. That will also increase the interstitial fluid pressure. वहाँ पे protein अगर ज़्यादा है, two, increase permeability of the capillaries. If the capillaries are more permeable, तो ये भी इसकी भी interstitial fluid pressure will increase. ये कि liver में तो है ही ज़्यादा permeable, वहाँ पे भी ड्रेनेज तेज हो सकती है. वैसे भी whenever there is vasodilatation, capillary dilatation due to any reason, it will cause increased permeability of the capillaries. कैपिलरी परमेबिलिटी वेजोडाइलेटेशन पे, कैपिलरी पे अगर अंदर लोड ज्यादा होगा, मोर फिल्ट्रेशन विल बी देयर. सो कैपिलरी परमेबिलिटी. सो दीज आर द फोर फैक्टर्स. वही चार फोर्सेस को चेंज करने वाली बात है भाई. इंटरस्टिशियल कैपिलरी प्रेशर बढ़ेगा या कोलॉइड ऑस्मोटिक प्रेशर कम होगा या कोलॉइड ऑस्मोटिक प्रेशर इन द इंटरस्टिशियम ज्यादा होगा या द कैपिलरी की परमेबिलिटी ज्यादा होगी. इट विल ऑल दिस विल लीड टू द मोर इंटरस्टिशियल फ्लूइड फॉर्मेशन एंड दैट विल इंक्रीज द इंटरस्टिशियल फ्लूइड प्रेशर. दैट विल इंक्रीज द रेट ऑफ lymph flow in the all the lymphatic vessels. If net filtration pressure and net outward forces are increased, यही होगा. This all will lead to the increased net filtration pressure and so more filtration will be occurring, so interstitial fluid pressure is going to increase and that is going to increase the rate of lymph flow. Interstitial fluid pressure, if it increases from -6, डायग्राम में दिखा रहे हैं, इफ इंटरस्टिशियल फ्लूइड प्रेशर पास 6, अगर इसको इंक्रीज करें टू 0, millimeter of mercury, increase in the rate of lymph flow will be 20 times increase in the rate of lymph flow will occur. ये जो अभी हमने कहा ना, increasing interstitial fluid pressure increases the rate of lymph flow, उसको quantify करें तो कितना, सिर्फ 6 millimeter of the rise in the pressure, -6 से 0 पे लाए हैं, -6 से 0 पे लाए हैं, that will 20 times lymphatic flow will increase. So this is tremendous effect. If the interstitial fluid pressure beyond 2 millimeter of mercury, 0 तक तो ये जायज है, 0 तक ये काम होता है, 0 से 1 हो जाए तो मे भी थोड़ा सा फिर भी there will be more rate of lymph flow. 2 के बाद नहीं. If beyond 2 millimeter of mercury, it does not further increase the rate of lymph flow. ये क्यों भाई? Interstitial fluid pressure बढ़ रहा था, 6 था, -6 था, -5 हुआ, rate of lymph flow is increased, -4 हुआ, -3 हुआ, -2 हुआ, rate of lymph flow is increasing, 0 हुआ, rate of lymph flow is 20 times, 1 हुआ, maybe थोड़ा सा और बढ़ेगा, लेकिन 2 के बाद further increase is not possible. If this pressure, interstitial fluid pressure is more than +2 से ज्यादा हो जाए, that does not further increase the rate of lymph flow. Cause इसका क्या है? This extra pressure in the interstitium will cause the collapse of those capillaries. वो कैपिलरी हैं, वो very thin walled हैं, उनके बाहर प्रेशर अगर ज्यादा होगा तो वो कोलैप्स हो जाएंगी. तो इंक्रीज इंटरस्टिशियल फ्लूइड प्रेशर कॉजेज कंप्रेशन ऑफ दोज लिम्फेटिक कैपिलरीज. वो जो यूनिसेल्युलर पतली पतली कैपिलरीज हैं, delicate, so they will be compressed by this 2 millimeter of mercury pressure or more than that pressure. तो उसके बाद एडिमा होने लगेगा, उसके बाद फर्दर जितना भी फ्लूइड आएगा उधर जमा होगा. So the lymphatic capillaries will be impediment to the flow. They will collapse, and the balance entry and the impediment. This is balance. एक खास balance है. उसके बाद अगर pressure बढ़ता है तो then the edema will continue. So no further increase in the lymph flow is possible if the pressure in the interstitial fluid pressure is more than 2 millimeter of mercury, plus 2 millimeter of mercury. So edema will occur. Factors of increase. Effects of increased interstitial fluid pressure IFP at the rate of lymph flow, ये diagrammatically दिखाया हुआ है. 0 पे -6 है, 0 तक लाते हुए it is tremendous increase in the rate of lymph flow है, tremendous increase, 20 टाइम इंक्रीज जो हमने बोला है, 0 तक आते हुए. 2 तक भी शायद थोड़ा सा और बढ़ा है, बट बियॉन्ड 2, अगर 2 मिलीमीटर ऑफ मर्करी हो गया तो उसके बाद देयर इज प्लेटो, देयर इज नो फर्दर इंक्रीज इन द रेट ऑफ लिम्फ फ्लो बिकॉज ऑफ द कोलैप्स ऑफ द लिम्फेटिक कैपिलरीज अंडर दिस प्रेशर. इस प्रेशर पर वो कैपिलरीज, लिम्फेटिक कैपिलरी बंद हो जाते हैं, एंड यू कैन सी द रेट ऑफ लिम्फ फ्लो इज नॉट फर्दर इंक्रीजिंग. Now the lymphatic pump we have talked about. When you valvular arrangement of the endothelial cells and valves present throughout all the bigger lymphatics as well, and they provide this lymphatic pump along with the muscular pump. और जैसे हमने venous pump की बात की थी, ये lymphatic pump की उसी तरह बात करेगा. Even the lymphatic capillaries have valves, वहाँ पे भी valves हैं, and valvular arrangement and valve exist in all the lymphatic channels, पहले बात कर चुका हूँ, and the collecting channels, बड़े vessel जो हैं, and large lymph channels, and the stretch of the bigger channels में वो जो endothelial cells हैं, कुछ muscular elements हैं. There is automatic contraction of the smooth muscles in the bigger channels. Bigger channels सिर्फ endothelial cells के नहीं है, उनमें smooth muscles भी add हो जाते हैं in the bigger channel, say for example thoracic duct में. तो bigger channels में there are smooth muscles as well. If there is more rate of lymph flow, they will be stretched, and stretching of any smooth muscle, it will contract. This is the property of the smooth muscle. If they are stretched, they will contract. So automatic contraction of the smooth muscle because of the stretch of the bigger channels. The stretch of the bigger channel because of the more lymph flow will cause the automatic contraction of the smooth muscles, and it will squeeze the channels, and valvular arrangement will make sure the unidirectional flow of the lymph. And each segment of the channel between the two valves acts as separate pump. जैसे हमने कहा कि इस जगह पे एक चैनल है, एक जगह पे ये कॉन्ट्रैक्ट करेगा, वन डायरेक्शनल बैक फ्लो इज नॉट पॉसिबल, अगला कॉन्ट्रैक्ट करेगा, इट विल बी. और इफ दिस कॉन्ट्रैक्शन इज बीइंग एडेड बाय द एक्सटर्नल फोर्सेस लाइक कॉन्ट्रैक्शन ऑफ द स्केलेटल मसल अराउंड इट, वो भी इसके मसल भी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट कर सकते हैं बिकॉज ऑफ स्ट्रेच, एंड एक्सटर्नल फोर्सेस दे विल हेल्प, दे विल आल्सो पुश दी दिस fluid to next segment, and that will be, so this continuous pumping action, this will each pump pushing the lymph into the next segment, and this can create, जो मैं कह रहा था, the pressure up to 100 millimeter of mercury. 80 millimeter, 70 millimeter is quite common. So up to 100 millimeter of mercury pressure may be produced by this lymphatic pump. This is so powerful pump. 120 millimeter of mercury तो हार्ट पैदा करता है, which is very powerful muscle. लेकिन ये सारे छोटे 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 पंप मिलकर इतना प्रेशर क्रिएट कर सकते हैं up to 100 millimeter of mercury pressure. So this is being drained by this pressure into the lymphatic system, into the venous system. This is arrangement. These are those capillaries. These are the overlapping edges of those endothelial cells. They are allowing the entry into, and they don't allow the backward. And so next channel, these are those two edges. They are forming wells, and backflow is not possible because they will close. और ये जैसे ये close हुआ, the flow is possible in only one direction. Flow is possible through this, and if there is more pressure here, they will close. So unidirectional. So lymphatic pump is by arrangement of these cells. Well, इस तरह बने हुए हैं. Pump due to the external compression मैंने बात कर ली है. That is contraction of the surrounding skeletal muscle, exercising muscles में मैंने बात की थी, and movement of the parts of the body. वैसे भी parts of the body की movement पे, are the pulsation of the nearby arteries. ये इतनी मामूली कैपिलरीज हैं, delicate कैपिलरीज हैं. आर्टरी के करीब lymphatic vessel अगर वो आर्टरी पल्सेट कर रही है, it is causing the lymphatic pump. So the pulsation of the nearby arteries also helps the compression of these delicate vessels, lymphatics, and onward transmission of the lymph into the bigger channels. Compression of the tissues by the external objects. बैठा है कोई आदमी कुर्सी पे जोर लगाया है, मैंने बाजू ऐसे रखा है, so compression of the lymphatics will occur. External objects, sitting में, lying down में, या किसी और posture में, it will cause the compression of the tissues, and that will cause the compression of the lymphatics, and compression of lymphatics means pumping in one direction. So pump very active during exercise, I have talked about, and flow of 10 to 30 times as compared to resting condition. Exercising lymphatics में flow increases tremendously 10 times, 30 times, 30 times. वो जो हमने 120 ml per hour कहा हुआ था ना, उसको 30 times बढ़ाएं. Can you imagine how much lymphatic flow is possible during exercise? So the flow 10 to 30 times as compared to the resting condition. Tremendous increase in the flow of the lymph can occur by the exercising muscles. Lymph capillaries pump. Lymphatic capillaries have the valvular arrangement of the endothelial cells. Anchoring filaments keep the lymphatic capillaries open. Yes. They are helpful to keep them open. लेकिन अगर pressure ज़्यादा है, then they will not be able to keep them open. Capillary will collapse. So the overlapping margins of the cells prevent the outflow of the fluid. Backflow is not possible. Extra fluid जब भी आएगा, there will be swelling, edema, and the further opening of the capillaries. Extra fluid जब भी आएगा, मैं ज़रा सा वापस जाऊंगा into that किसी भी capillary में. If there is edema here, extra fluid is collected here, edema there, so this will extra fluid will be opening this This is the pressure is more, so that will be entering into extra fluid, will be entering into these capillaries. So extra fluid kahan pe the? That is extra fluid swelling will cause the further opening of the capillaries, and fluid is always pushed onward into the collecting lymphatics. जो इनमें अब extra fluid आएगा, it will be pushed because of the some contractile filaments present in the endothelial cells, or maybe in the smooth muscles in the bigger lymphatic vessels उसमें. So lymphatic endothelial cells contain a few contractile filaments. अभी मैं बोल रहा था. Endothelial cells में भी there is ectomycin filaments may be present, and that may cause the contraction, and it may make the onward transmission or propagation of these lymph into the next segment, and to push the fluid. This is ये वही बात होगी. This is extra fluid collected here. It will cause the one directional flow in the lymphatic channels. Control of volume and protein in the interstitium. So we have seen it. इसका काम क्या हुआ? It is responsible for the maintenance of normal interstitial fluid volume and protein concentration in the interstitial fluid. Proteins are being drained. Protein filtered by the systemic capillaries cannot be retaken back or reabsorbed by those systemic capillaries. तो प्रोटीन फिल्टर तो हो जाते हैं, तो अब्जॉर्ब ना होंगे तो रिजल्ट क्या होगा? इफ देयर इज नो लिम्फेटिक सिस्टम, so there is accumulation of the protein. So this is lymphatic system is very important for the control of protein concentration as well as the volume, extra volume. This 3.6 liter in 24 hours जो extra fluid बन रहा है, that is to be drained, and the proteins are to be drained. So lymphatic system is an outflow mechanism for the excess fluid or excess protein or कोई भी bigger party का, even bacteria भी इसी तरह से enter करते हैं from the interstitium into the blood. So the proteins and lymphatic system regulates the interstitial fluid volume, ये जो इसको drain करना है, and protein concentration in the interstitial fluid, ये इसका important काम है. So interstitial fluid pressure को भी control कर रहा है. अगर ये ना होता तो pressure would have continue to increase होने लगता. So the control of volume and protein in the interstitium. Leakage of the protein from the capillaries, I have to increase colloid osmotic pressure in the interstitium. अगर ये leakage, it will increase the colloid osmotic pressure in the interstitium, more filtration will occur. अगर ये drain ना हो protein यहाँ से तो starting equilibrium shift to the more filtration. अगर protein इधर जमा होते रहें तो more filtration forces will be increasing. This starting equilibrium will shift towards the more filtration of the fluid. So increase interstitial fluid pressure will occur, and that is rate of the lymph flow भी increase करेगा. But so the lymphatic prevents the volume and protein concentration of the interstitium to prevent tremendous increase in the protein or the extracellular fluid volume. उनको ज़्यादा बढ़ने नहीं देते. ये fail हो जाए then excessive edema does occur. Edema तो होता रहता है. जब ये एडिमा होता है तो ये लिम्फेटिक सिस्टम के टोटल ड्रेनेज कैपेसिटी से जब ज्यादा फिल्ट्रेशन हो रही हो, देन एडिमा will occur. So this lymphatic system is very important for the control of क्या extra fluid भी control करता है, particles भी drain करता है, protein भी drain करता है, it maintain the protein concentration normal, it maintain the total volume of the extracellular fluid normal. ज़्यादा होगा तो ज़्यादा drain करेगा to there is a physiological limit, उसके से ज़्यादा होगा then edema will occur. So this is lymphatic system, lymphatic drainage की हमने बात की, physiology of lymphatic system. Next time inshallah we are going to start another very तीन दफा very बोला है मैंने, very important mechanism of the local control of the blood flow. जैसे हमने basic principle में बोला था, that is our circulatory system has ability to control the local blood flow by the local tissues themselves. वहाँ पे local control होता है. तो ये local control कैसे होता है? We will talk about the local control of blood flow in next lecture, inshallah ताला. तो inshallah see you in next lecture, and subscribe भी करें और share भी करें. Thank you very much. Hope to